Well, I get into Lexington last night around 11:30 and got a hotel. Gabe Pruitt told me about a hotel in the Distillery District I should check out. And when you're only staying for 7-8 hours, it's not much of a stay. You don't get a real firm grip on the hotel itself. For me, breakfast was good. There's a bar up on the rooftop. So when I come to Lexington, usually my mind is wired for the sale, right? Going to look at the sale. So how close am I to Fasig-Tipton? How close am I to the Red Mile? What's in the area, that type of thing. That's just how my mind is wired. And nice hotel. So for you guys that are coming down to the Red Mile at any point, or coming down to Fasig-Tipton for the yearling sale, it's not time yet to start talking about the yearling sales. But if you will be in the area, pretty nice hotel here. Good food. It's a nice place. So it gives me time anytime I get any time alone, right? And nothing, it's not that I enjoy being alone, but sometimes it's nice just to collect your thoughts, Nothing can be working great all the time, right? There's always going to be issues. Last week we saw Renegade Gypsy made a break, and Stay Close was flat. J.K. Mickey Mantle made a break. Things are never awesome. They just aren't. There's always ups and downs. But things are good right now, and the horses have raced exceptionally well over the last week, especially our horses here in Ohio and Pennsylvania. By here, I mean the U.S. So I want to talk about the week that we had and the weeks that are coming up. Obviously, we get a pretty good picture now of which horses fit where, who fits in the Sire Stakes, who fits in the Buckeye or Stallion or Grassroots. And it begins to paint the picture ahead for those horses. We've some horses we're going to continue to move. Some we're going to bring in. We brought in a new mare last week who will race next week. She trained very good this week. Her name is Think of Galaxies. Patrick the Piranha is in Northfield. I galloped him very strong the other day. He felt good. And he did feel like he needed maybe one more week just to get back in the swing of things. What else? Greatest Endings, foot's healing up nicely. His blood work's coming back around nicely. So Mark and Melissa should have him in to go in the next week or 10 days, I suspect. There's still just a whole lot. There's always a lot going on, right? Right now we have the stake season. That's kind of our core, and everything's just kind of floating around in orbit. And it's nice. It's nice to go back and look at the week that was, how the horses are. I'm looking at the calendar right now. Now, I apologize. Every week I forget to talk about Sunset Acres Curl, and actually Purr Lucky is in today, and it, for some reason, is not on the calendar. It always was on the calendar, but I don't see him on the calendar. So it's kind of weird. But yeah, there are some horses that just haven't made their way on there yet. I'm sure Think of Galaxies is one of them. Now, Purr Lucky was on last week's calendar, so why isn't he on this week's? That's weird. I don't get to talk about Sunset Acres Girl enough. 3 wins in a second now. She's been on fire. I believe her first big stake in Michigan, I believe, maybe her only one, I think just her first one, is coming up soon, if I'm not mistaken, if I can remember the calendar properly. But let's talk about what did take place this week. We had Absolute Euphoria, who looked monstrous. She looked very good, closing in strong on the end of it. I believe the plan is to race her in the Ohio State Fair race next week. Now, the Ohio State Fair races pose one little problem. Friday, we have the Pennsylvania Sires and Stallion Series at the Meadows. Friday night also is the Ohio State Fair. So I'm trying to work it out with my wife and have the kids come over and us go to, likely you'll see us go to Northfield Wednesday night, Thursday afternoon, the Meadows, Thursday night, Scioto, Friday night is question mark. And it was Amy who said, well, Gypsy Hill is tricky, and so is Memory and Imagination. So the only real way to look at it would be who races for the most money and who has the best shot to win, who needs you the most. That's a fair assumption. I think that's actually pretty fair to everybody. So we're going to wait till the draw. Now that kind of puts us in a tough spot because it limits our choice of drivers usually. Now, I guess the only way to look at that also is in Scioto, if we listed Brett Miller or someone like that, they may have obligations. So it's not like they, couldn't or could drive our horse. And the same goes for the Meadows. I heard Ron Burke talking to Yannick yesterday, and it doesn't look like there's a lot of drivers that are going to be able to make. There's no point even asking Scotty. I'll drop it in passing today in Lexington, but it appears that between the kindergarten, the Ohio State Fair, and everything going on, there's not going to be an abundance of drivers at the Meadows. And I talked to Ronnie Wren briefly. He thought he might go to the Meadows, but if he does, he's going to be driving Burke's. He's not going to be driving ours. So kind of puts us up against it a little bit for next Friday, but we're going to let next Friday unfold as the draw takes place on Tuesday. But for now, I just want to give everybody an update. Friday is going to be tricky. I can't make both. They both race at night. So the week that was absolute euphoria was fantastic. I thought Don't Talk About Bruno was starting to come around and look good. Gandalf the Black, I was so happy to see him. You guys think that I just see a horse race bad. I'm like, got to move him. A lot goes into those decisions, and usually when I send you an email after the race saying Renegade Gypsy's going to leave, it's because I've been thinking about it for a while. And when it comes to Gandalf the Black, I didn't want to move this horse. I don't think he's one of the top 5 grassroots colts, and there's nothing wrong with that. That is a tough division. But as long as we have somewhere to race him, I'm fine with that. And it looks like the class in Georgian is going to fit him really good. He raced great the other day. I see he's back in to go this week. So happy that we found a spot to race Gandalf the Black other than the deeper end of the ocean at Mohawk. Oakwood Cowboy, I think Dominic's done a great job just quieting him down, getting him under control. Now let's put him in a place we can do some damage, which is Mohawk. He still has the egg bars on up front, the aluminum ones. He came with those. He's had them on since I've seen him, anyway, since when he came to us from Ohio. Can we work on his feet a little more? Can we get him in a spot where he's pacing forward and competitive at Mohawk? I hope so. He's right on the cusp of doing that. So I hope he can do that. And Sintra, a bit of a rough trip last week. Who do we have in Tuesday this week? Is that up here? Atlas Hanover's in that class. Okay. So Sintra will probably race the week after. There's nothing wrong with that. Probably needs a week off after the trip he got. Last week, B. Lisa was so good. Wednesday was the start of a really, really strong week for us. B. Lisa, race good, finished second. Blanton's Blue was third. Purple People Eater just got picked off at the wire. And I wish I had that last quarterback. Irresistible Sun was good, but I think he can improve. We did get his blood back, his GGT. Really high. 3 times the normal limit. That's at liver count, so we're going to work to get that down, but at least we know why he seemed flat. He didn't tie up. I thought he tied up, but he didn't. His GGT was just high. Sedona Hill raced as good as she could, finished 4th. As the race is going on, I'm hoping for a little bit more from her, but she just couldn't provide it. She did the best she could, finishing 4th, but raced reasonably well. McPaisley, 3rd again. He looked good. Gypsy Hill, Heart and Desire Award of the Week would almost have to go to this guy, or Memory and Imagination. They're both hard on themselves, and both raced exceptionally well. Gypsy Hill a winner, Memory and Imagination a winner later on in the week. Both of them had to bust through some pretty sturdy hurdles. One guy punched a hole in his elbow, hitting his elbow, Memory and Imagination. Gypsy Hill still chewing at himself. I think this guy will start to come forward. I think we're going to put the hobbles on him. Problem is in Ohio, I've said this before, it's not like Ontario, Pennsylvania, Kentucky, I believe, a number of jurisdictions where you can just enter them with or without hobbles. You still have to qualify them. It's old school. You got to qualify them with them on or without them on. We can go to a fair. There's not a lot cooking in between. Not a lot of places to go. Who's calling me? Jason. You're going to have to wait a minute. Not a lot of places to go in between those two. In between the Ohio State Fair and his next stake race. There is 1 or 2 fairs, but again, if he's hitting himself, you really want to take him to a fair. So that catch-22 comes into play. We could qualify him, but I think the dates, the way they work out, you have to qualify him 5 days after he races, and that's not very fair to him either. So we're looking to find the best way forward for Gypsy Hill. I would like to try him with the hobbles on, though, just to help him, just to steady him, the poor bugger. He's tough. He raced some good the other day. J-Port Beach Boy third. He tied up a little bit. His AST was 13.50, which is pretty high, actually. Coming into the race, my 1% has just been absolutely phenomenal and race great again the other night, a winner. And Venice Blue Chip third. I still think she's got more to offer, and I don't know why she's holding back. She never did training. So we're going to keep an eye on her, but continue to march forward with Venice Blue Chip. What a big Wednesday we had. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, I think, 11 or 12 horses race. The only horse that missed the board was fourth. Big night on Wednesday for us. Thursday was no different. I Forbid You was a winner and looked really good doing it. Brace for Landing I thought was good in finishing fourth. Really Don't Care had made a break. A little disappointed with her. And Merchant Man starting to find his way into a little rougher waters now. So likely a decision will be made with him soon enough. So Thursday, just a tiny reprieve. And then Friday, it was full speed ahead. It seemed like we had 7 million horses racing. If I'm not mistaken, there's 18 horses here. Pull the Shoes, raced good. Just kind of pinned in with her. My only concern with her was there was just 2 tiny little drops of blood in her throat after. And I'm wondering, is this going to compound, or is this us getting her throttled back and getting that under control? She did show a few little streaks in Philadelphia, but had quite a bit of mucus. So there just wasn't enough there for us to say, oh, just put her on Lasix. I don't want to do that. It doesn't want to be a knee-jerk reaction. I talked to Tim, thought, and both our vets, one in Pennsylvania, the other one in Ohio, about what their thoughts were with the filly in regards to this. And they all said, not quite enough there, just maybe we'll continue to work on it. So Pull the Shoes, her next start, could be a pivotal moment in how we approach her racing. But I was so pleased with the way she raced when she got out. Confident, not rough, not out of gear, no anxious moments. She just looked good. And quite the opposite for Royal Emeralds. Out of gear, just being rude and ornery, I think is the easiest way to put it. And I think I wish I was over there. She would be training this week. But she's going to be into going to Maiden this week. Tim said, well, we got Flashfly, Pull the Shoes, and Royal Emeralds that fit Maidens over there. I said, Flashfly, yes, if they split it. Even we could use her. I said, we just need to switch her back maybe closer to the way we had her. Put Hunter on her. She warmed up great. The problem with Flashfly is switching gears at the gate, touched herself, just couldn't catch herself and rolled off stride. Now we can put her back to the way she was, but I think somewhere in between is where we should go with her. But Royal Emeralds was just rude and ignorant. And I said, Royal Emeralds first, and I will be there to drive her Thursday. Royal Emeralds has coasted to the wrong side of the fence. And this would be where she would go to the principal's office in training. But right now, she's just going to get a little stiff racing mile into her next week. And we'll see how she plays out, how everything plays out after that. Flashfly, as I said, hopefully if they split the class, I can drive both. If not, they could get in together. I don't mind using it as a prep. Hunter knows the filly now. He's done well with her up until the other day. And as I said, I just don't think that was his fault. Victory Blue Chip did bleed the other day. More than enough to put him on Lasix. So he'll be entering the Lasix program right away before his next race. Next Friday will be his next race. Five Fish Species really come forward in a good way. I'm so proud of what I've seen from this filly the last little while. Meg and Scotty have done a tremendous job with her. Brett Beckwith drove her the other day, did a great job with her on the track. She looked good, trotted good, did her work well, and is starting to look like a really a seasoned professional. And very proud of what I've seen from Five Fish Species. So great job by everybody. Think back to where she came from too. Mario and everybody did a great job prepping her. This is all just maturity and growth. And actually, quite frankly, just smart management. There was some discussion whether she should go to the Excelsior A or not. Maybe keep her away from the Stakes Company. And I was indifferent to it last week. I know that a couple of our clients had really pushed for her to go there, and it was a great conversation, and quite frankly, they were right. And it wasn't that anybody said no. I know that Scotty didn't really believe that she belonged in there, but clearly she has proved everybody, whether it be right or wrong, she's proved to everybody that she does, and she'll be racing there throughout. What do we got next? Activation. Man, I had somebody say, oh, he's such a nice horse, just puts an entire effort out every time. Let me tell you something. Activation is a very lazy horse, but there's nothing wrong with that. He's never going to be an overachiever. He just does what he has to do to get it done, and I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. But the explaining what he is and what he isn't. He is not an overachiever. He is not a hard worker, but he does do his work very well. He is a winner, and he gets the job done, and that's most important when it comes to horses. Get the job done. 4 wins in a second. It's hard to argue with that. 5 starts, 4 wins in a second. Certainly doing good things on the track, and look good again this week, winning. Coupe de Ville. Listen, I love Northfield Park, but I hate the Northfield Fair. They go so darn fast for $6,000-$7,000. I would rather race for $5,000 and go in 2-2 over a little bit of a seedier track than go another fast mile. I really didn't want that for Coupe de Ville, but there just wasn't a lot of places to stuff her into this week. So she raced there, finished 4th. Pretty quick mile for her. And then Swinging Senorita, again, I don't know what went on there. This affiliate that's never made a break in her entire life. She just got a little hot. Luke was just trying to keep her quiet. You can't force her to be quiet any more than you can force her to go faster than she can. You have to manage the situation. It looked like to me that she just got really ornery, really hot. I've almost lost her twice now. Her first start, where she was first or second, she got extremely pacey. That was in Miami Valley or Dayton, one of the two. She got extremely pacey at the quarter pole. We'd end up changing her shoes after that. We went to flip-flops, then we went to mushroom bars, then we went just to a normal shoe. I think she just has a normal shoe on right now. So I'm not shocked that she got a little pacey, but I can tell you it's just from kind of fighting with her. You can't fight with Swinging Senorita. She is a fighter. She's proven it. And you need to put her in a place where you can manage that fire, so to speak. And I think that just the inexperience behind that filly, not knowing her, she can get you in a place where you've gone beyond a point of comfort and you're like, well, she could make a break, and she did make a break. So disappointing, but again, I wish we had opted just to wait and go to a different fair, but either way, it's not the end of the world. Somebody said, oh, I can't believe, what a waste. It's a $7,000 race. Just relax. She's going to race for $55,000 next week. Or 40 or whatever they're going to go for. Calm down. So, so both Swinging Senorita and Coupe de Ville, kind of what I expected, somewhat, I guess, not the break, but somewhat. It's just the way it shook out. Renegade Gypsy, stay close. Both were flat. One made a break. We're going to bring Gypsy over here, assess him, work on him, see if we can get him back in the straight and narrow. I have put some feelers out, whether it be Indiana. I talked to Ron Burke just briefly about potentially sending Renegade Gypsy out there. He said, yeah, we got lots of room. All I have is an open trotter out there. So he's got quite a ways to go before he's into or considered or has to race in the open. So lots of room to move around out in Indiana. The Meadows, I think, is where we're going to race Stay Close. Somebody said, hey, Kyle, can we just try Stay Close a couple more times? I think if we... No, we're not going... I'm not going to continue to double and triple down. I do not like the way he raced the other night. Sat in the 2-hole, flopped around down the lane, didn't get his work done. No, that's not the Stay Close that I want to see. So no, he's not staying there. This is not me getting angry or upset with Dominic or Mario or Harry or anybody else when I move these horses. That's just simply me looking at the situation, the path forward in Ontario. Is there a better path? Yes, I see one, at least for the time being, at the Meadows, and that's exactly where he's probably going to show up next Thursday, is the Meadows. And I understand that, everybody, whether you live in Ontario, whether you just like the horse, you want to see him race in Ontario, you like racing for a lot of money at Mohawk, it isn't what you race for, it's what you bring home. And at the end of the day, I'm just not really happy with the way Stay Close has been putting out in the last little bit. I was happy in Georgian, but certainly the last week was a step backwards for him. I'm just going to shake him up a little bit. Just rattle their cage a little bit, move them around, let them know that it's time to work. And that's exactly what's going to happen with both those trotters. Memory and Imagination couldn't be any tougher than he was the other night, and I couldn't be any prouder of what the horse did. To understand the entire backstory and then put it in put it in exactly what it is. This is a 2-year-old trotter, that was hitting himself the whole way, parked the entire way, and crushed them, driving away with the bit in his mouth in 57, coming in the last quarter in 28. It's hard to explain and quantify how impressive that mile is. You might say, it's pretty good. You have no idea. For a 2-year-old to have the presence of mind and the mental fortitude to do what he did the other day, that's what really good horses do. That's just not, he raced pretty good. Horses don't do that. They don't lay park the whole way, hitting their elbow, and drive away down the lane to win. They don't do that. They make breaks. They walk. They don't do that. And Memory and Imagination was exceptionally good.
Sorry to bother. If you don't mind, can you pull in that parking spot right here?
Absolutely. I'm just about to leave.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. I guess I gotta go. So, Vaquero Blue Chip, without knowing the horse, Dan Charlino, I guess I could pull in that parking spot. Dan Charlino drove him, said he was good, thought his hobbles were tight, and I told him, I said, if you give him an inch, he'll take a mile, that guy. He's learning to be a horse. I would like him to be a good horse, not a bad horse. And he was great in his victory in his maiden at the Meadows. He was racing good for Scotty in the Poconos and made that break, which was upsetting and frustrating. Brought him back, drew the outside. I couldn't drive him. He was in with Memory and Imagination, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And just rolled off stride. Or just coming up to the gate. He didn't really put him on the gate, but not knowing the horse put him in that position, right? Not knowing what Memory and Imagination was all about, how he acted, what he did, what his mannerisms were, without knowing that. And Dan was good about it. He went out and warmed the horse up, warmed him up himself in the race bike, said, I think the hobbles were a little tight. We let them out a hole and raced him. But I think you put him right on the gate, get him right up into the action. If he blasts him out of the car and sits in the 2 or 3 hole, who knows? Might have been all right. He made a break too. You stay trotting, you got to check. And next week, we'll get a better shot at him. Now, my question is, do I just stay the course in the Sire Stakes with him or drop him into the Stallion Series? We have, 2 Stallion Series events left? I think. Well, I think we just stay the course. I think we stay the course of Vaquero Blue Chip. He's handy. He's useful. Here's a horse, if you're driving him, you can cross over in 2 steps. They're not going to beat him off the car. And, but again, it's hard to ask somebody, hey, do me a favor, just put that 2-year-old trotter you've never driven in your life, just put him right up on the gate and just let him blast out of there, and then gather him right up like an aged racehorse and stuff him right in a hole there. And then when you do, follow that helmet as close as you can. He'll be fine. Don't worry about it. It's a tough thing. That's a lot of trust. And I think Dan did the right thing, just played it safe, got a bone, got a check, and raced good. Horn Player, I've been telling everybody she's going to go to the Meadowlands. I told Megan that, and then I looked and I said, there's nothing for her at the Meadowlands. She does have stakes coming up at Mohawk on August the 25th, so she'll likely be going back to Mohawk for August the 25th. I'm going to have to message Megan. I don't want to pull a carpet out from under her. My intention, I think she'd be fantastic at the Meadowlands right now, but I think she is sitting on some big miles, and Mohawk is a 7/8 mile track. Not a mile track, but it is a 7/8 mile track, and it's quite a jump up from the 5/8 where she's racing good right now. And people are going to say, Anthony, there's a long way from 56 and 3 to the Meadows and 53 to Mohawk. Yes, there is, but a lot goes into that transition. Or in every turn at the Meadows, she kind of stalls a little bit. She's just protecting herself. She's very timid without the hobbles on. She's smart enough to know that things might get a little dicey if I drop the hammer in the turn. So she's smart enough just to relax and take it easy for a little bit, which I was very, very impressed and pleased with. The transition this filly is in the midst of making is rather impressive and unexpected. And I can't wait to see what she's going to do. So I would say if we continue on the trajectory we're on right now, you're going to see her show up in the Casual Breeze on August the 25th, I believe. And there's going to be people out there saying, I just don't think she's good enough. Well, that is on the spec. Looking at her, you're right. But you don't know what I know. You haven't sat behind her. You don't know the difference between a horse that's trotting in 56 because that's all it can go, and a horse that's trotting in 56 because she's ready to go more. And I think the only thing she's missing is an opportunity to stretch out on a big track. So Horn Player will be heading to Mohawk on the on the 25th. I'm getting really close to the red mile now. I better pull over. I guess I can finish this. Time is on my side. We scratched him sick. We're going to take our time with this guy. No, listen, I'm one of your partners. I would love to see him pacing in 51 right now, but he's a big, gangly colt. There's been no... he's not alluded to the fact he can't go anymore. He just hasn't yet. Just hasn't gone more yet. But I think he will. And I think he has all the tools to be a good horse, all the breeding to be a good horse. And if he doesn't, there's no inclination, there's no thought process where you sit behind him. James sits behind him. I've sat behind him, and at no point did I say, I just don't think he's any good. No, quite the opposite. He's a big, giant colt that wears a 60, 61-inch hobble. And the other day he just had mucus, and we just scratched him, did right by the horse. I just think that there's more than enough reason just to take our time, and actually zero reason not to. This lady's going to wait. JK Victory race great again, 4th and 49 and 2. Really, really happy. Oh, sorry. Where is barn 33, ma'am?
Barn 33?
Yeah.
Over this way.
That way?
It's any of these 3 barns.
Oh, okay. That makes zero sense to me. Barn 33 is any of these 3 barns. Are you kidding me? We only count to 33 in Kentucky. Hey, there's Tyler Sheehan. It's Major Megan. He might know where we're at. Barn 24, barn 29, barn 30, 31. Must be up here if I follow the numbers, man. JK Victory 4th in 49 race good. And I thought that maybe Yo Mister a tiny bit flat. But it's hard to say because he's racing in such good horses. Such good horses. So, the good news is he's a really, really, really nice horse that's racing against other really, really nice horses. He's had a great year for us. And the one thing we have to keep in mind, and it's easy to forget, Yo Mister is 4. This is a 4-year-old season. We went through it with Locatelli. We're going through it with Looks Like Money. Quality horses that are in the middle of transitioning into aged horse status. Now, by definition, 4-year-olds are aged horses, but there is a transition. There should be a new name for 3 to 5, that 4-year-old year, post sophomore season. They're nice horses, but it's very, very hard to transition into that aged horse rankings, and Yo Mister has done a tremendous job doing that. Now, yesterday, Crantini coming in, I'm always guarded with him, right? He was making great gains. He looked good mentally. And I really didn't know. At any point, he gives you the feeling that he could regress. He could turn into that Crantini. The one that broke our hearts last year a number of times. The one that, got into a little bit of a funk where he was acting up with Scotty and Megan. We brought him back to the Meadows, screwed him down tight, put the hobbles on him, made him do his work, and he decided that maybe we'd come to an agreement, right? You just behave yourself for 2 to 8 minutes on any given day, and everything will be just fine. So he was good. There is no faults right now. He is doing his work very, very good, and I'm very, very impressed with the way Crantini has gone about his work of late. This is 4 very good lines in a row. It almost makes you feel like you can start taking stuff off him. We will take the snake cord off him now. Are we going to take the screen off him or the hood off him? I think the things we're going to make changes with are, first, we're going to take the... Hey, PJ, where is it, my man, Eric paddling?
Right on the other side of me.
The other side, that door there?
Yeah, the second door.
Okay.
Where that white car is, right there.
All right, cool. Pretty good, man. Thanks. I think we'll take the snake cord off and the earplugs out of his ears, and we will race him next Friday. He does have 5 wins, and somebody had sent me a message at Anthony. If I'm not mistaken, the condition reads winners of 3, not more than 5. That was his 5th win the other day. You are correct. And Tim said the same thing. You guys both caught it at the same time. So he'll have a spot next Friday, and then we are planning to go to the Beal with him. Now, there may be a little bit of a shock to some people what I'm about to say. I'm going to take Brace for Landing to the Beal also. They have 3 divisions, the A, B, C. on money earnings this year. Now, the only way that Braceford Landing gets in is if there's not enough horses that have entered, because he hasn't made very much at all. And if he doesn't get in, we get our nominating money back. And I have every intention of racing him. I think his attitude has come forward. We have another, 20 days before he races. That's at least another start, if not 2, to get his legs back underneath him. I talked to James briefly yesterday about him. I obviously cannot be there Thursday to race him, but James certainly can, and that's who will drive him on Thursday. I gotta bring these in to Eric. What else? So Crantini and Braceford Landing will be heading to the Beal on the 19th, and it goes by this year's earnings. Just to be clear, because I wanted to clarify that with a number of people. How is it lifetime earnings or 2023 earnings? It's 2023 earnings, so I can't foresee a way that Crantini makes the first division. He may not even make the second one, and Brace may not even be accepted because of the money. But you never know, right? If there's only 18 horses entered, who knows where they end up? Or if there's 27 horses entered, or 20 whatever horses entered, who knows? We'll see how that shakes out. But both those horses will be entered for the Beal. Tailgate Buzz, just 26-4, a mile 53-3 was just too much for him. And then he tried. I mean, James went through all the pylons in the last turn, apparently, trying to go faster. He just, it's his arch nemesis. It's like kryptonite. Styrofoam is James's kryptonite. I said, no wonder he can make the horses go so fast. He goes through all the pylons. So, Tailgate Buzz was 5th place, 6th, but 55 flat off a searing first quarter is right around what he can do, right? So looking at, did we scope him? Did we draw his blood? I don't think there's a whole lot to look at. If we get up there 27, he goes a mile 54-4, everybody's clapping and happy. You get up there 26-4, they went in 53-3 in front of him, and I never tapped the brakes, not for a second, with Crantini, because I wanted him to go a good mile also. I was hoping that Tailgate Buzz could follow me, but when they're both on their game, a little bit different horses, right? Austral Hanover, again, there's the other division. Poor Tailgate, 55 would look good in there. I won it handily with Austral Hanover in 155-2. So just goes to show, where he kind of might have faltered. You put Austral Hanover in the same position as Tailgate Buzz, you get a very, very similar result. Now, he doesn't run in the last turn, so surely James could have kept him out of the pylons. But I think you would have found a very similar result with those two horses. Two very good Stallion Series horses, just it's a little deeper, a little tougher sometimes. Paycheck Princess was disappointing. I talked to my partners on the horse, and I actually have to send an email out. I said it on a video. We're going to turn her out. What are we doing? Are we just going to chase our tail all summer? She has all the tools to be a good horse, just either mentally or maybe there's something physically bothering her a little bit. She didn't bust through the same way the other ones did. Now, we'll give her the time because, as I said, doesn't wear a boot. Really paces so smoothly, so fluidly. I want to believe she'll come forward if we give her time. So let's give her the time. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So Paycheck Princess is going to the field. Mounds for All made the break. Now, I just talked to Adam Rucker, and he said, well, I told Brandon, put the horse on his toes and put him right on the gate. Instead, he let him walk around and jog around light and then tried to feed him into the gate, and the horse just goofed off and run. Seems like a pretty easy fix. And Adam knew that because I told him about him. You can't be letting this guy get ahead of you. Give him an inch, he'll take 5 miles. Don't give him an inch. When he's on the track, he's there to work and make him work. And that's what you have to do with Mounts for All, and he didn't. And apparently, I didn't see it. This is third person coming from him, but he said he didn't feel like he had him raring, ready to go and right on his toes, and he just took advantage of him. And I think that sounds like the Mounts for All that I know for sure. So he said next time he will be on his toes. Great Bet was sensational. Here's one of the big stories of 2023 for us. He's not a monster. He won in 55. Most of the 2-year-olds can, if you give them the opportunity. It's not like he's going to set any track records, but for a horse that really looked rather ordinary. Oh, there's our boy Lonely Lakewood going out for first trip. Let's go up and have a look at him. Go up and have a look at the big colt. So it's not that Great Bet is going to set any track records, but how he's going about his work has been rather impressive to me. Right? Here's a horse that you're like, oh, hopefully he races and does okay, and hopefully he can do us some good. But you don't really know. We didn't have a lot of information to go on. There wasn't a lot of great racing miles and training miles coming in from him, right? Let's see here right now.
That's Lakewood, is it?
Yeah. It's such a nice track. Kentucky has such a different feel. Even, wake up today, go down, you're sitting in the restaurant eating breakfast, and you just get this. I try to have a laid back feeling when I can, and I'm pretty easygoing a lot of the time, but it's just this wave of carelessness that just floats over you in Kentucky. It's a nice feeling. It makes you feel like you're on vacation, and you just step out of the car, and it's just there's that wave again. So just that laid back, easygoing type of feeling. Looks good. I'm just watching Lonely Lakewood go his first trip. I'm going to start going last trip with the horses here in about 40 minutes. So great bet. Very, very pleased with him. The work that Cindy put into this horse, and now the work that who's taking care of Great Bet now? Maybe Teresa? I'm not sure. Whoever's doing the work now is doing a great job, but all this was predicated on all the work that Cindy had put on into him all winter. If you'd stopped by the barn or heard me talk about Great Bet all winter, he really just kind of looked rickety looking, right? He was frail. He slowly but surely started to put on weight and feel good. And it wasn't that first qualifier shocked the hell out of me, and he's been good ever since. So Great Bet, a great drive by Scott Young the other night, and a great race by the horse. I love to see horses like him come forward, and he certainly has. No free lunch. Looks like he's rounding back into shape. 50-2, 15-1-ish, 27 and a piece on the end of it. But past horses and was coming to Lala Shadow at the wire. So great job by Jody, great job by Harry getting this guy back going. And Mel Gibbswan wandering down the lane. Looked like he should have been a winner. At least that horse got him from the outside fair and square. Should have been second and kind of hung out there. I know that I'd spoke to Adam again about him. He said he was running in. They put a Murphy on the outside because he was running out down the lane. He's just kind of wandering, but he said lots to work on with this guy. They really like him. They think he's got a bright future. And for a horse that we gave very little for, I think he's got, 20-some thousand made now. And looks like he's going to have a bright future down the road also. So a great job by everybody there. Now, obviously, I'm sitting here at the Red Mile. I'll give you a little taste of the Red Mile. Sitting under a tree waiting for Lonely Lakewood to come around. I'm going to watch him jog. So excited about today. Anytime you get to race at the Red Mile, take advantage of it because it's horse racing's foundation. I know I'm from Prince Edward Island, and a lot of the foundation for the Maritimes are from Canada, was right from where I'm born also. But when it comes to harness racing itself, right here at the Red Mile in Kentucky is where a lot of it began, and it's always nice to get back and watch big red clay track. And it's just got that old school feel. And it's really cool. It's really cool. So if you get a chance, make your way down here. At some point, these horses are here for the next 4 or 5 weeks or so, or even longer into Grand Circuit time when the sale's on. All the horses that we have here, I believe, are staying here throughout the summer. So hopefully they race good, but really looking forward to Lonely Lakewood, Pickpocket, Militant today, and then excited to watch Tactical Mounds tonight. Big week ahead. Big week behind us. I hope Kelly, I never got to thank her. Just the little things like that video was so cool the other day. I found myself watching the video like 5 or 6 times just to recap of last week. And this week's video would have to be a little bit longer. A great run we're on right now. Let's keep it going. So with that, I'm going to let you guys go. I'm going to talk to you all very soon. There, Lonely Lakewood, you just missed him, sir. Just on a great run right now. I want to keep it going. So I will talk to you all very soon. I hope you're having a great week and a great weekend. I know I am. It's a beautiful day here in Lexington, Kentucky. Take care.